So I guess I can talk while I sort. So what I do normally when I do a pre-release is I sort my creatures in each color and my non-creatures into piles, because that way I know which color actually has creatures, because it's kind of required to have creatures in sealed to win. And after that, I'll be able to look through my non-creatures in different colors and see what I have for removal. If you have a color that has almost no creatures in it, it's going to be really hard to play that color unless it's got removal. And then you're going to splash it for the removal. It's also a quick way to run through and see if you have things with synergy. It's also when I mix in my uncommons and my rares, is I just throw them all in at this point in time, look for multicolor things. And then you can go back and look at your multicolor things after you've kind of picked what you're doing to decide whether or not you want to throw them in. If there's a reason to be in a certain color, like Luris. Luris is a pretty big reason in Limited, I imagine. Haven't played Limited because we haven't had it, to play black or white, because you're going to just have that recursion unless they kill it. All right, so now that I've sorted, I'll run through my common, and you'll see uncommons and rares again. These are my non-creatures in white: Light of Hope, Divine Arrow, Spontaneous Flight. Only 3 non-creatures in white. Got a stack of white creatures. Cub Warden, Flourishing Fox and Splendor Mare you've seen, Checkpoint Officer, Draneth Healer, Checkpoint Officer, Savalt Sabretooth, Imposing Vantasaur, Draneth Healer, Snare Tactician, and Perimeter Sergeant. So 2 Draneth Healers, 2 Checkpoint Officers. These can really help with evasion. You can tap down your opponent's creature. It helps keep you alive. Draneth Healer would be good if we're going to play a cycling deck. That's also a staple in cycling. We've got 2 cycling creatures. Another cycling creature. If there's a payoff, there's some cycling in blue. That's where we'll go next. So Reconnaissance Mission, Keep Safe, Essence Scatter, 2 of them, 2 Gusts of Wind, and a Frostvale Ambush. So there's some cycling there. Cycling with Luris, you're aware it works. Not sure how it's going to work in Limited. Here are the creatures in blue. There's an Avian Oddity, Aegis Turtle, Frostlength, another Aegis Turtle, which is just a 0/5 for 1. Windfold Pterodon enters the battlefield with your choice of a flying counter or a hexproof counter. 6-drop, 3/6. And this Facet Reader So we know our rare promo, and we got a rare. Whenever you cast it on a creature spell, draw a card. We have 2 Regal Leosaurs. Other creatures you control get 2+2/+1 when you mutate it. We have Saval Thundermane, which is a cycling payoff that costs something, but it's there. So right now, there's the ability to do red, blue, white. It's reaching. It's 3 colors. We do have the crystal. We have a Farfinder. We have a crystalline giant. Those things would allow us, even with 3 colors, to have something to play. You have the Lurrus to bring back all of these things that cost under 2. So you can't bring back that, but you can cycle it. You can bring those back, you can bring that back, you can bring the fox back. You can't bring back the Cub Warden, but you could mutate it onto any of these non-humans. Fox, which would not be bad to have a 3/5 flourishing fox with 1/1 counters on it. We got a dinosaur, you got the Lurrus, and these all can get mutated on. Cub Warden's ability is kind of bombish, right? It creates 2 1/1 cat creatures with lifelink when it mutates. Regal Leosaur gives all your other creatures +2/+1 when it mutates. It's not an expensive mutate cost either to mutate it on something for 3. So you'd have 4 creatures that wouldn't be eligible for mutating. You could also mutate it on your Crystalline Fox or your Farfinder. So that's an option. That's what I see right now. And then out of blue creatures, I actually don't know that I'd grab any of these. Perhaps Avian Oddity, because you could cycle it and get a flying counter, but it's still 3 to cycle it, so probably not. And so we'd look in red. And out of red, creature-wise, it's really light on creatures. There's a lot of the same thing. There's 2 ferocious Tigerillas, getting a trample or menace. There's a prickly marmoset, which is from the pack. It has cycling payoff too, so we're going to throw that in there. There's actually a 3rd ferocious Tigerella. There's a Cloud Piercer, can mutate, it's got reach. I'm going to throw it in and then perhaps cut it. There's this Gremlin, which costs 1. I'm going to throw it in and perhaps cut it after we look. I'm going to throw it in. It's not great in that you have to pay 1 to tap it to deal damage. Probably will end up cutting it. So right now I'm still looking for removal. If we're cycling, most of our cycling is creatures, so that's not going to necessarily be great. Flame Spill, I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put in Forbidden Friendship. It's a way to get 2 creatures out on the board. One of them's able to get mutated for 2. Fire Prophecy, Raking Claws, perhaps reptilian reflection. We'll see what happens. So right now, 1, 2, 3. There's 24 cards if we were to play all of these. $25 if I add Divine Arrow, act as removal. 24 if I remove this Blister Spit Gremlin. Blister Spit. Creature-wise, $15 creatures, so it's not bad. It's red heavy on this spell, on the ultimatum, but we are only splashing blue for these two. Should not be a problem. So that's one idea. I'm going to go through the rest of the cards. So in black, non-creatures, Extinction Event, Dark Bargain, Mutual Destruction, Blood Curdle, Memory Leak, Dark Bargain, and Dead Weight. So quite a bit of removal. We know we've got the 2 insatiable hemophages, Unbreakable Bond, Cavern Whisperer, Serrated Scorpion, Blitz Leech, Night Squad Commando, Lurking Deadeye, and a Night Squad Commando. For green, non-creatures, Lead the Stampede, Plummet, Adventurous Impulse, Sudden Spinnerets, Ram Through, another Adventurous Impulse, and another Plummet. Creatures, Flying Giraffid, the Antelope Lizard, Almighty Brushwag, that flavor text is wonderful, Humble Naturalist, Greater Sandworm, Honey Mammoth, and Fertilid. Nothing totally catching my eye. Proud Wild Bonder, Cunning Night Bonder, Brokos Apex of Forever, and Primal Empathy. Now these are really, in my opinion, they're pretty good cards, and they would be great to use in a limited deck, especially Brokos for its just recursion. You can cast it from this graveyard, you can mutate it. But I don't know that there's a strong enough blue or green pool to actually play it. Black has a good pool in that it's got all that removal. But I don't know. And then I think I'm still sticking to the idea of this Jeskai build. We've got Windscarred Crag, Evolving Wild, and we have that crystal. So to me, it's kind of like this, we could, if we needed to cut something, we could either cast, we'd probably cut this Whirlwind of Thought. There's not a lot of non-creatures, not enough for a payoff. I would keep the Inspired Ultimatum. So without land, we have 1. 23. Gives us 17 land. We already have 2 over land. Evolving Wild, Winds Guard. So that breaks us down. So we have 15 lands we need. Probably 3 islands. So right now I'm going to do non-creatures by curve on the top and creatures by curve on the bottom. And hopefully my camera has enough room here. Going to be very heavy at the 2 spot. Primarily because we've got Luros. And I haven't played limited or draft with it, so I'm not sure. I think you can still put Luros in your sideboard, so you don't actually have to throw it in your deck, which would allow us to actually bring another card in. So I'm going to throw this Snare Tactician in, which says whenever you cycle, tap target creature an opponent controls. It's either that or the Splendor Mare, which has a cost 1 white, 1 colorless to cycle. It's a 3/3 for 3. It's got lifelink. Whenever you cycle it, put a lifelink counter on target creature you control. I actually think that's going to go in instead. And then Luris is sideboard, along with every other card in our pool. So, Luris Companion in the sideboard. So, I said 13 after our 2 islands, our Windsguard Crag and our Evolving Wilds. So, I would probably grab I think I would grab 6 red, 7 red and 6 white, primarily because this is going to take 3 red. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 needs for red. 10. Wait. 10 needs for red. Eight needs for white. So red is actually the primary here. We need more red than we need white. So 7 white, 7 plains. Sorry. 7 mountains, 6 plains, 3 islands. That's 16, 17, 18. I don't know if I did my math right. I'd put it together and then I'd count. And if I needed to cut something, I would cut a mountain likely if 7 is too many. But I want 3 islands in there just to make sure that if something got milled, some reason I lost an island off the top of my deck from my hand, that I'd still be able to get it. There's 2 ways we have to fetch. We have the Farfinder and we have the Evolving Wilds. We have all our cycling that we can do to hopefully draw in if we need it. There's not much to get things back from the graveyard other than Luris, and that only applies to our permanents. But out of permanents that cost 2 or less, we have quite a few. We have our Flourishing Fox. We have 8 creatures that cost 2 or less. That's half our creatures. It's more than half our creatures. So that's what I would do.